Well, as we mentioned earlier, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in favor of a Colorado baker who refused to bake a wedding cake for a gay couple.
But the court is not deciding the larger issue in the case, whether a business can refuse to serve gay and lesbian people. Ryan Owens is a professor of political science at UW-Madison, and he is our go-to expert on the Supreme Court.
Good to see you again.
Welcome back. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
So the baker in this case lost several of his appeals in the state of Colorado. So what was your reaction to this decision today?
Well, I think most people expected this to be sort of a circumscribed ruling. I don't think anybody thought that the court was going to go off and make a major landmark type ruling in this. So the fact that it wasn't particularly surprising, but I was a little surprised that the court decided the case as a function of the commissioner's perceived hostility towards religion. It seemed like an issue that definitely Justice Kennedy was concerned with, Justice Gorsuch. I wasn't sure that they were going to rule on that issue, but they did.
That was the Colorado Civil Rights Commission?
That's correct, yeah. So during the hearings below on this issue, a number of the commissioners had made a number of comments that were perceived to be, hostile towards religion, and some of them were pretty blatantly problematic. And the court, by a 7-2 majority, said, we're not going to tolerate this kind of stuff. This is going to get kicked back down. So they didn't make a landmark ruling that set precedent for, the broader issue. But what they did do, though, is I think signal something important to the lower courts and to these commissioners, that we're going to pay attention now to what you're doing in terms of, respect for religion and religious liberties. We're going to pay attention to this. We're going to monitor to make sure that you're not going only one way, one direction with these decisions. And so I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. And we expect a number of major rulings in the coming weeks. What's down the pike here?
Well, we still haven't gotten a decision in the gerrymandering case yet, Gill versus Whitford. In fact, that was in the
Wisconsin redistricting?
Exactly, the Wisconsin redistricting case. It was one of the first cases the court heard this term. That's actually 99% sure that's a case that's going to be written by, an opinion that's going to be written by Chief Justice Roberts. He's the only justice from that sitting who hasn't written an opinion yet. So that's likely to be one of his. We also have an opinion coming down soon in cell site tower location information, whether police officers need to get a warrant to obtain that information or not. We have a public union case where the court will decide whether folks who work in industries in the public setting can be forced to contribute union dues even though they don't want to be in the union. And, a handful of other cases as well. There's an abortion case that has yet to be decided, and of course President Trump, the travel ban case. So we have yet to hear those, and there's about 23, I think, yet to be decided.
Wow.
So the bigger issue, back to the same-sex wedding cake case, the bigger issue about whether or not businesses have a right to deny certain clients probably won't be addressed for some time.
It's going to come back. There's no question about it. This is something that the lower courts are going to have to decide regularly. This will come back to the Supreme Court at some point, maybe with facts that are slightly different than this one that make it a little easier for the justices to suss out what's going on, but it'll definitely be back soon.
It would be a different case, though. This case would not be coming back.
That's correct. This particular case is done, but there are plenty of other cases that are similar to this that'll be back.
Did the 7-2 ruling surprise you at all?
Well, given how the court decided on sort of the religious hostility claim, not particularly. It is, as many have said, a fairly circumscribed or narrow decision. Justice Kagan, I think, has been pretty consistent on this. She's of the sort of religious pluralism view, so that component doesn't surprise me all that much. We'll be interested to see. I mean, Justice Gorsuch had some views that were very different from Justice Kagan's in this. Justice Thomas had some very divergent views. So we're seeing a very, very fractured court on this issue. And so I think it'll be important the next time they hear it that they have facts that are a little bit cleaner than this one was. So, for example, maybe a heterosexual couple that wants to get married that has a pro-same-sex marriage message on a cake. That would have, split the focus, right? Is this about a gay couple or is it about the message? It was, difficult to tell in this case because of that. So with some different factual scenarios, we might, be more likely to get a major opinion from the court.
It's going to be a very busy summer, so hopefully we'll have you back very soon.
Indeed.
Great to see you, Ryan.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,